Head over to miniaturemarket.com where they have thousands of board games at discounted prices like Barenpark, the Bad News Bears expansion. Hello my friends, it's the Game Boy Geek here. Today, we're going back to the park. We're going to be seeing lots of bears, but this time we're going to be seeing grizzly bears, and it's getting even bigger, so we're going to even need a monorail to take us around. Today we're taking a look at the first expansion to Barenpark, the Bad News Bears. Let me show you the different modules that come in the game, and I'll show you how it works. I'll see you on the other side. The Bad News Bears expansion adds essentially 3 major modules and some smaller stuff as well. It comes with some new Grizzly Bear tiles, which are going to take up huge amounts of room on some of your boards that I'll show you how they work in just a little bit. They come with these different monorails that you're going to be making a 3-dimensional part of your board now. There's new achievement tiles, which give you different goals in the game, and there's some new exit tiles, so now you have 5 boards to build each game. Now, one of the main things in here is the monorail. When you build your first green unit, which is basically one of the smaller pieces, you can place the first monorail sort of structure there. Then a little bit later, let's say you have this. You can place it on another green spot, but you always do it so that there's 2 empty spaces in between. These spaces can be anything. They can be completely empty or they can be anything, but then you always have to place these on a green spot. When you do that, you'll take the top one from the monorail and you'll put it right on there like that, making it sort of 3-dimensional. So you can't really see it. There you go. There's 10. So that one's 10. There's, a certain amount of each point, and they get with less points the further you go down there. So the ones that get there first are going to get the ones with the higher points, just like many of the other things in Barenpark. But now that you've built this, they can only turn 90 degrees. So you can't continue going this way. I'd either have to go down this way or up this way with a new one. And so doing that 90 degrees makes the puzzle of trying to figure out where to put these tough, because again, you can only place them on a green unit and it has to be exactly essentially 3 away from the last one. So it really makes you plan out where you're going to be placing your green pieces in a lot more detail. Now the other thing is the Grizzly Bears. Now if you have a green unit, which these are additional bathrooms, they're little cute ones, they get added to the supply because with the different way that these grizzly things work, you'll need more bathrooms in the game. So they give you more bathrooms. If you have one of the animal structures and a green on your turn, and they're not on your park, but you actually have them in front of you, you can get rid of these, meaning taking them out of the game. And you can then take any one of these giant grizzly bear sides and you can place any one that's still there. And you can see how big these are. I mean, there are a lot of points. They take up a lot of room. However, you're giving up points to get those because you're giving up one of those animal enclosures. So it's going to be this essentially minus whatever the enclosure was that you gave up. It's going to be the amount of points this really is. But it's also helping you take up big pieces of your boards as well. Also, instead of just doing 4 boards, you're actually going to have a 5th board. So the 5th board is going to have an exit, which means basically this has to be open, this entire section. So it kind of also limits where you can put this. You can't put this like on the bottom of another tile, for example. So the game's a little longer, but with these grizzly bears being a little bit bigger, it doesn't really feel longer. So there's 5 boards, but it takes about the same time to play, really. Now there's new achievement tiles as well, like these ones. Anytime you can actually cover up 2 bulldozers and get 2 enclosures on one turn, you'll get this one. This one is if you can place an enclosure tile without covering anything. This one is really hard. It's putting at least 3 parks adjacent to 3 of the different bear statues. To me, that one was the hardest one. This one is at least 3 rivers in the corner of boards. This is having 2 toilets that are at least 11 spaces apart. And this is having 3 parks essentially that go over the edge to other boards. All right, well there's the expansion. Let me first frame this by saying Barenpark is a game I love to death. It's my favorite polyomino style game with the Tetris size pieces. And I loved it so much because it was a gateway style game that I could pretty much teach most anybody, that even if they haven't really played too many games, but yet for a gamer, it still had a lot of depth. It still had a lot of replayability, variability. I got a ton of plays out of it. It felt so different because every game is just sort of puzzly and you're racing for different things. But I did wish after playing it a ton that there was a little bit more depth there. And that's what this expansion really brought. First of all, new, more challenging achievements. And I like that because, and there were that one with the bear and the putting the statue next to 3 different sort of playgrounds is the hardest one to do, especially when you're trying to plan all the other things out that's in the modules. But I like that some of these are more difficult, because the ones that came in the base game, some of them are really easy. They're really just straightforward. Oh, the most pandas exclosures, or the most golden bear exclosures, where these ones have a lot more to do with like a lot of spatial things. And the game already gets spatially harder because of all the different options of the monorails and the grizzly bears and things like that. So I like that they add harder, more achievements. It's going to give it more replayability and definitely more challenging, more depth there. The grizzly bears is really cool because it's such a brilliant design idea, because A, you have to give up something, right? So you've got to give up one of your green pieces and an animal enclosure that you haven't yet put out. And so you're giving up points to gain points. And it's interesting because if you do it early in the game, you're giving up more points than you normally would, because the enclosure that you're getting rid of probably has more points on it because it's earlier in the game. But you also have much more room and much more flexibility about where to place those. If you wait towards the end of the game, you're going to be getting more sort of a point differential, because maybe you're giving up a 2-point tile and you're getting a 10-point thing. Well, that's great. It's 8-point differential, but it's going to be a lot harder to kind of fit that in. And so it has this weird arc to it with the grizzly bears that's just brilliant. And having a 5th tile makes sense because those grizzly bear things are so large. But again, you've got to have basically 2 pieces, a green and an enclosure, off your board ready to be placed in order to give those up to get that. So it's hard to set that up too, but when you do, those things can really pay off, and I really like that aspect of it. Also because, when you place those, it's helping you race towards the end and finishing tiles too. So there's that thing to think about. The monorails are cool. Definitely gives the game more table presence. The 90-degree turns in this makes it so much more challenging. And I didn't show you in the rules, but you also can't go in a loop, things like that. There's other rules, but if you could just go straight or go any way you wanted, it would be like, oh, okay, this is cool, another way to get points. But man, when you make it so that you can only go 90 degrees and you can't loop, it makes it so hard. It's like, oh, I got to build this way. Oh, I can't go down that way because my board ends and I don't want to put another board down that way. I can't go this way because I've already got an animal closure 3 spaces away. I've got to go this way, so I've got to get a green piece there. But then where am I going to go? If I go this way, I'm guaranteed to only be able to place 1 more. If I go this way, I might be able to place 1 or 2 or 3 more if I plan it out right. Ooh, but that side of the board's really open. I could get a grizzly and fill that. I mean, everything just compounds together and just makes the game so much more thinky. I love that this does not really change the main mechanisms of the game, but it takes it from a gateway game to like a brain burner because of all the different spatial things. And it doesn't sound like a lot. Hey, give up 2 pieces, get a grizzly bear. Hey, put the monorail 3 spaces away on a green. Like, mechanically they're simple, but man, thinky-wise, it makes your brain smoke. And I love that aspect. It did exactly to Barenpark, which is what I wanted it to do, which was take it up a notch in every level, but keep it streamlined. It's perfect. I just love what they've done in this expansion. There's definitely more things to race for. The monorails, the grizzly bears, right? And it gives you much more tougher decisions. Anything I didn't like about it? Yes. Well, Barenpark was always one of those games that took a while to set up. Every player account has a different setup. I typically had each player account bagged separately, so I could go, oh, 2 players, this bag does everything. Oh, you're adding a 3rd? Add this stuff. You're adding a 4th? Add this stuff. And it's still, even with doing that, it took longer than normal for a game this long to set up, which I never liked, but it was always worth it because the game was so good. However, with this, it takes even longer because now you've got an expansion that you got to set up. You've got more tiles, you've got different tiles to put in. It just makes the setup longer, which, again, the game is so much better that I'm still it's not going to stop me from playing it, but it's a negative. The other negative thing is, oh man, it doesn't really fit in the base game box. And I know some people love having the expansion boxes. I hate them because when I keep a game, I get rid of a game. I'm at full capacity now, and I love fitting everything in a base box. Now, don't get me wrong. When I say it doesn't fit, like you can make it fit, but the lid sticks up like half the way off the box. And so I just put a rubber band down. I'm like, I'll just do it. I don't want to keep the extra box. Although it sticks up enough that maybe it's taking up more room than the base box and the expansion box in the end. So a negative there, doesn't fit in the box. Also, the rules. In setup, it didn't mention anything about adding those extra toilets, but in the component list, it said add these to the supply. And who's going to read a component list to find the rules? They really missed this because when we played this the first time, we got to the end and I wasn't able to finish mine because all the toilets were gone. And the reason why they add those two extra toilets is because with the way the grizzly bears and stuff are, you're gonna have a lot more of these little pockets that you gotta fill in. And it totally makes sense to add more toilets, but they didn't really tell you in the setup rules. It was only in the component list. So a little negative there. Just remember to add those extra toilets in. Otherwise, fantastic expansion. If you liked Barenpark before, this is gonna probably make you love it or like it even more. If you didn't like Barenpark before, I don't see why this would make you like it all of a sudden. But that's the Barenpark Bad News Bears. Fantastic. Did you miss the Game Topper 2.0 Kickstarter? Have no fear. It's not too late to get in on the ultimate gaming accessory. Convert your table into a high-quality gaming table with a fully portable Game Topper system and take advantage of some of the best 3mm premium gaming mats in the industry. New styles, new sizes, and new accessories can be yours. Upgrade every game you play by late backing now at GameToppersLLC.com.